What's going on? It's your boy Bowie back at it again. And I want to talk about Mortal Kombat 1. And specifically, I want to relay one message. Mortal Kombat 1 is not dead, but it needs our help. Why does MK1 need our help? Because all of us have contributed towards its state, its current state. So allow me, as I always do, to set the table. So Mortal Kombat 1 is in a fragile state right now because on one hand, there are plenty of legitimate criticisms of the game. But mixed in with legit criticisms and legitimate anger, righteous indignation, if you will, there's a plethora of bullshit ass complaints about any number of things, from the gameplay, which is not an issue, character balance, which is definitely not an issue, to perceived character strength, which again is not an issue, women's clothing, what else do people have problems with? The price of skins, which is quasi-legitimate. It's ridiculous that, NRSWB charges so much for skins, but we always have the option to not buy them. So that ain't really a full issue, but I can see why people have grievances about that. You know what I'm saying? But probably most of all are illegitimate grievances about this game being better or worse than its predecessor. Now, in terms of raw gameplay, this game is leaps and bounds over MK11 and MKX. Leaps and fucking bounds. Okay? Both of the aforementioned games carried people. There were mechanics that carried people. There were characters that carried people. And special moves that carried people. The excessive 50-50s, the lack of backwards movement and strong anti-airs and armored carried people in MKX. In MK11, it was the crushing blows, the full screen fatal blows, wake up roll, and breakaways. Those all carried inferior players. Hell, even the meter burn system carried people, because moves that normally would have been completely full combo punish unsafe, now suddenly you got to deal with the mix up of, oh, am I going to press the enhance button to make it come out on block or no? Because you can't punish it if I do. You know what I'm saying? People would get crushing blow combos or combo damage just from doing innocuous things like just randomly uppercutting in the neutral or just throwing people. You throw somebody and you get a combo. You know what I'm saying? So MK11 and MKX carried the shit out of people through characters and mechanics. This game has none of that. None of that. Well, at least to a much lesser degree. In this game, the problem is everything else except the gameplay. And so that's where a lot of the legitimate criticisms come in. So, as I was saying, I'd mentioned this in a comment to somebody, but I'll say it here. This game, Mortal Kombat 1, has phenomenal gameplay. an amazing roster, a very, very good story mode, obviously arcade, and invasions. So there's things to do in the game. However, baked in with all of that are the plethora of bugs, plethora of glitches, not to mention Invasions is a piss poor version of MK Deception's conquest mode. Is very lackluster, and people only play it for the rewards and because ain't shit else to do. And then on top of that, the online experience is very hit or miss. I just got done playing a couple minutes ago, and I didn't experience not one desync. You know. However, I did experience very wacky ass internet at the hands of people that were on Wi-Fi. I would not suggest that you ever play somebody that has Wi-Fi in this damn game. Hell nah. Let the motherfuckers be. But there are a number of people who can't get games because the game desyncs on them. There are regions of the world where they can't even play online at all because the servers don't run. You know what I'm saying? Not to mention the PC port of this game is relatively awful compared to MK11, MKX, and MK9. It runs like ass on micro handheld, or not micro, but on PC handhelds like the Steam Deck and ROG Ally. It doesn't even run at a full 60 unless you pair the graphics way down. You know what I'm saying? And even then, it's not a constant 60. Meanwhile, Street Fighter 6 and I bet you Tekken 7 are going to probably run at a full 60 FPS on the same handhelds. And so there are a lot of legitimate things to complain about. Worst of all, I should say, WB doesn't seem to give a fuck about Mortal Kombat. They're not trying to support the tournament scene. They seem to be hog-tying NRS quite a bit in terms of getting things fixed. And likely, they're the ones that probably propelled NRS to rush this game out in the first place. Because it's very clear, based on everything that I've said, and even some things that I didn't bring up, that this game was not ready in September of 2023. It wasn't ready. It's not even ready now. You know what I'm saying? How do you put out a game in the year 2023 without crossplay? How? When all the other major fighting games have crossplay. How do you put out a game where not only is your net code mediocre, but matches desynchronize? When your competitors are out here killing it with the online. They have Wi-Fi filters by default. They have lobbies. They have the full suite of features that a fighting game is supposed to have in the year 2023. And there's no excuse as to why that didn't happen for NRS, except for the fact that maybe the game was put out before it was ready. Because even though MK11 lacked a lot of these features, MK11 was a complete goddamn game, and there's no bones to be had about it. That game was complete as hell. It had the vast majority of the features that I named. I mean, it didn't have a Wi-Fi filter and you know, but it did have crossplay. I feel like it was added though. Yeah, they added crossplay later, but still. We didn't have a plethora of bugs and glitches, except them that goddamn hitboxes, but I ain't gonna get into all that shit. But you know, point of the matter is NRS has set a standard. NRS had been looked at as the paragon of fighting game developers for many, many years. They put out complete fighting game products with a whole bunch of extra modes, a full-fledged cinematic story mode, you know, interesting gameplay, a meta that's not static, and the shit had good net code. NRS was the standard by which, you know, a lot of these other fighting game companies were measured. But when you have the parent company, Warner Brothers, going through financial burdens and undergoing major shifts in their, you know, corporate hierarchy, that's the, you know, the ingredients for, you know, all kinds of corporate malfeasance. It's sort of like when Wells Fargo absorbed Wachovia Bank. Some of y'all remember Wachovia, you know what I'm saying? I know I do. That bank was great, but Wells Fargo was garbage. At least the Wells Fargo that immediately succeeded them. Them fools had to go through congressional hearings and a grilling at the hands of Elizabeth Warren to get they act together, you know. But even now, they still be trying to cross-sell. Every time I log into my online banking, here I go with a damn ad talk about some, hey, do you want this? No thanks, or hit yes to continue. No, bitch, I don't want no motherfucking loan. Kiss my ass. Anyway. But point of what I'm saying is, when companies merge or when corporations undergo rapid change, you know, the relationships that were developed before seem to disintegrate. And any products brought in under the previous corporate regime are now subject to being, they're subject to being, at the very least, radically altered by the new regime. You know what I'm saying? And this is something that virtually everybody can relate to. All of us working people that have ever seen a takeover of the higher ups, you know that those takeovers are typically hostile as fuck. And I think that's what happened with WB and NRS, because there's no other explanation for the drastic change. You know what I'm saying? But this has been in the works now. You know, WB has been very fucking slimy. I mean, I have never in my life seen an advertisement for another game in a Mortal Kombat game. Never. Not until MKX. And then again in Injustice and MK11. If you turn them shits on right now, you'll probably find some kind of advertisement for you to buy MK1 or Hogwarts Legacy or whatever new game WB's cooking up. And that's fucked up. That ain't nothing but corporate influence right there. You know what I'm saying? But while WB wants to be all up in NRS's Kool-Aid when it comes to advertising and getting them skins and all this, they want to be hands off when it comes to supporting. And that's that bullshit. That's something we all need to recognize. So we need to get off of NRS's jock a little bit. We don't need to be hostile to NRS. We don't need to sit there and accuse them of not caring. They obviously care about their game. You can see the love and care that was placed into this game. You know what I'm saying? You can see by the animations, the voice acting, the fan service, all that shit, that this game, this franchise is beloved by NRS and the fans. And they definitely tried for us. But here's the thing. NRS, from what I know, is one of the only fighting game companies in which the developer and the publisher are not like the same fucking company. You know what I'm saying? Capcom is the developer and the publisher of Street Fighter, if I'm not mistaken. So when the corporate distributor and the developer are one fucking team, you ain't got to deal with no discord between the higher ups and the game developers, because they're the same people. You know what I'm saying? You can get good communication. Not from NRS. You know what I'm saying? Now, there are definitely things that NRS can be doing better. For one, you got to sneak some goddamn communication. I don't give a fuck what you do, NRS. However you want to communicate. I don't care if you want to do coded language, bruh. Interviews, whatever. Get the message out to us. That way we know what the fuck is going on, because a lot of us would have so much more grace for y'all if we just knew. Like, what is the process of getting something fixed like player one advantage? What did that look like? You know what I'm saying? Who all has to approve of certain changes to characters? If we just understood the process from the inside out, or even maybe we ain't even got to get into the minutia of everything. If you just speak up, not once in a blue moon, but frequently, weekly, bi-weekly communications on the status of the game or the status of what y'all are trying to fix, a roadmap, something, anything like that would be greatly beneficial. Because here's the thing. You want the community on your side, because we're the ones that can help bring y'all out of the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? It's sort of like, it's exactly like the relationship between the district, teachers, and students. NRS is the teacher, the community is the students, the corporation is like the district. The district tells teachers what we teach, when it's supposed to happen, and all that shit. Sometimes it gives us restrictions on what we can't teach too, if you live in the state of Florida like I do, right? But if you really love your babies and you want them to understand that you're not trying to punish them, you'll tell them, hey, I'm abiding by the standards. The standards say I'm supposed to teach this by this time, so this is what I'm doing. Is it up to me? Hell nah. I think this standard is dumb. I'd rather teach this other standard. I think that's more important for y'all, but it ain't up to me. And then you turn this into a teachable moment for the kids, letting them know, hey, this is what adulthood is all about. Doing shit you don't want to do, even when it's stupid. Listening to your boss's rules, even when the rules don't make no goddamn sense. I tell that to my babies. And so they understand this is not me trying to punish them or me trying to do whatever. This is not in my control. You know what I'm saying? And so you don't do this every day, but when the occasion calls for it, you let everybody know what's going on, what's goings on. You know what I'm saying? But so the community is partly to blame for not moderating criticism enough, or not doing enough gatekeeping to the narrative. WB is partially responsible, mostly responsible, for being a greedy fucking corporation that's being, you know, trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? When you're just trying to, whatever, they're just being as recalcitrant as possible. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, NRS is partly to blame because they're not telling us what the fuck's going on. Not to mention, they have a terrible habit of putting out a brand new game with all new mechanics and everything once every 2 to 3 years, instead of, you know, trying to slow shit down like normal fighting game developers do. See, because you in the competitive field now, you know what I'm saying? It takes at least 4 years to develop a cogent competitive title with all the good features and all the good shit. You know what I'm saying? NRS takes half that time normally. And they need to stop that shit. They need to stop that shit. That was the problem that was plaguing the WWE 2K series. The motherfuckers came out with a new one every year. And eventually that shit caught up with them with WWE 2K20. Those of you that play wrestling games like I do, you know what the hell I'm talking about. That game was Glitch City. It was so bad that Fix 2K20 was trending on Twitter. That shit is crazy. I don't want MK to get to that point. I don't want NRS to put out a game that's so bad that they have to undergo that kind of reckoning that 2K had to go through. You know what I'm saying? Now, MK1, fortunately for us, is not anywhere close to that state. This game is cogent. It is functional. It's fun as a bitch. And the gameplay is mwah, chef's kiss. I love the way this game plays. There's some, quiggles here and there that need to be addressed, such as my boy Sub-Zero getting some love out here, you know what I'm saying? And some other characters getting some much needed or quality of life buffs. But compared to games past, these characters are in much better shape overall. Even Quan Chi. You know what I'm saying? Even Quan Chi, compared to the rest of the cast, is much better off than low tiers or bottom characters in previous Mortal Kombat titles. And that's a goddamn fact. That doesn't mean Quan Chi in MK1 doesn't deserve love. He does. He needs some help. But really, he needs tweaks to what he has rather than the kind of overhaul that MK9 Kano needed, or that MK9 Jade needed, or, characters like, who was bottom tier in MKX? I fucking forgot. I think Bo Raicho was, but I could be wrong. Anyway, NRS went from characters needing to be overhauled because they just didn't function to your worst characters need to be tweaked, but yet they're still able to place top in tournaments and shit. You know what I'm saying? Somebody can take a bottom 3 character like Scorpion and beat Sonic Fox in a set with them in a tournament. Now, was it online? Yes. But don't think that offline Scorpion's not still a menace. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck out of here. But I tried to tell y'all months ago that bottom tier equals good character in MK1, and I wasn't bullshitting. Scorpion is built well. Sub-Zero is built well. Quan Chi is built okay. But even he, with the right cameo, can really do somebody dirty. You know what I'm saying? But gameplay is not the issue here. Gameplay is not the issue. It's everything else aside from the gameplay. And so this brings me to what needs to happen from here. I said that this game needs our help. And it does. It needs all of our collective help. Obviously, WB needs to start supporting their goddamn game and get the fuck out of NRS's way. Your job, WB, if you're listening, is to let NRS fix whatever they got to fix. Support the competitive scene. You know what I'm saying? Even if you got to put out a skin like you did for MKX and make us pay for it, maybe you don't want to put up all your own money to support the tournament scene. That's fine. But make the skins available so that there's a pot for competitive players to play for. Okay? You can tell I watched a Foxy Grandpa's video about this earlier. I agree with my boy 1,000%. You know what I'm saying? So that's what WB needs to do. NRS, I already mentioned what the hell y'all got to do. Fix this goddamn game. And do it quickly. And tell us what you're doing, so that we know that our grievances are being heard. You know what I'm saying? During the days of the player one advantage bullshit, I had no idea if NRS would even hear me. Because in the previous game, MK11, we whined about certain things for the entirety of the game's life, and those things went unaddressed. You know, whether that was the, oh damn, that was about to be a good ass whip on it. Whether that was the breakaway system, whether that was the fatal blows being bananas, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then certain characters, you know, they were sort of left behind in the dust, you know what I'm saying? Certain characters had hitbox issues and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? Like, so based on that history, not to mention the years and years prior where we just didn't know what the fuck NRS was going to do at any given point in time, I had no reason to be sure that NetherRealm was going to get player one advantage fixed. And this is where I relied on the community, you guys, all of y'all watching this video. You know what I'm saying? We did that shit together. It was a collective effort. Yes, I know I sort of was the whistleblower in that situation, and I'm very proud of that. But I'm also happy that I listened to my boy Soldier, who even told me about combos not working on player 2 side to begin with. I'm happy I listened and didn't just wave him off. I'm also happy that so many people picked it up and spread the message. I ain't give a damn if you gave me credit or not, because this was never about no clout. This is about making the game better. And that's what this video is about too. You know what I'm saying? Why do I want the game to be better? Because I love Mortal Kombat. I love Mortal Kombat 1. I've been playing Mortal Kombat since the days when video games were on channel 3 and 4. You had to turn your floor model TV, you had to turn a motherfucking knob to either channel 3 or channel 4 to play a game on that bitch. Otherwise, it was soap operas. You know what I'm saying? I've been playing since back then. I've been playing Mortal Kombat since before Pokemon was out. You understand what I'm saying? Some of y'all don't know nothing about that. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm aging myself quite a bit. I've been playing Mortal Kombat since before the days of Tamagotchi. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Since the days of Dunkaroos and Saturday morning cartoons and shit. You know what I'm saying? Since the days of Lamb Chop. You know what I mean? That's how long I've been playing Mortal Kombat. And I have no plans on stopping. But having that kind of history and having that kind of investment in the franchise, it wasn't no way I was going to sit there and see a glitch that was potentially this fucking, you know, consequential. It wasn't no way I was going to sit there and let that ride and be like, I'm going to sit on this and keep it to myself. Like, no. This has to be addressed. You know? And so that's why the Player One Advantage video came out. And thanks to us, you guys, that problem got fixed in a week. That was a hell of an anti. Damn, I wish I'd have finished that off, but whatever. But anyway, yeah. So then that leaves it to us. What is it that we must do as a community? Well, here's the thing. I understand that we're fragmented as a motherfucker. We got tournament players. We have influencers and content creators like myself. We have intermediate players, and then we have novice players, and then we also have casuals, right? And all these various segments, they all seem to value disparate things, you know what I'm saying? They seem to have disparate priorities. And some of the groups have desires that are antipodal to each other. The pros want a game that's more wild. They want the cameos to do more and be more like Chameleon. Whereas the novices and the intermediate players, some of them don't even want the cameos to be here, let alone, you know, have more of an active role in the combat. You know what I'm saying? But we as a community, there's several things we need to do. For one, we need to shut them haters down. Y'all know what I'm talking about. There are people, YouTubers like Fate and Jaded Rabbit and others that have dedicated their whole motherfucking YouTubes to slandering Mortal Kombat 1. And it ain't just them. It's motherfuckers on Twitter. It's motherfuckers on Facebook. It's motherfuckers on Reddit and all the social medias who their main shit is, I'm going to slander this game. I'm going to say MK11 is better, even though I hated MK11 when it was out. You know what I'm saying? All they do is they slander the game. And they've been doing this since before the bitch even released. They've been doing this since the days of the beta and the stress tests. What we need to do is we need to shut them motherfuckers down. And what I mean is we need to hop in them comments. We need to challenge they ass direct. I love what a Foxy Grandpa is doing with Fate, pointing out his bullshit, debunking his claims. That's exactly what needs to be done. Because motherfuckers gotta understand, you can't let misinformation run rampant and you know, be in the ether unchecked. You know what I'm saying? We've seen the consequences of such a thing. There have been thousands, perhaps even tens or excuse me, hundreds of thousands of people in the US alone that have died due to misinformation about COVID-19. You know, people taking dangerous chemicals instead of wearing a mask at the behest of then President Donald Trump. You know? Because they didn't want to get no vaccine. They died listening to him, listening to misinformation, downplaying a fatal fucking virus that is spread through the air. You know what I'm saying? And regardless about how you feel about vaccinations or mandates, everyone can agree that we all need access to accurate information about a topic or a game. Let me fast forward a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. This is a long ass video. I don't give no fuck. But so when people are out here spreading slander and misinformation, we need to check they motherfucking ass. You ain't got to be disrespectful. You ain't got to be angry or none of that. Just be like, I don't mean no disrespect, but everything you just said here is false as hell. You telling lies, bruh. And you kindly correct them. And if possible, show some video evidence that demonstrates that shit is the truth. You know what I'm saying? That's what is needed. That's what I did with my last video about the do's and don'ts of Johnny Cage. the prevailing narrative that this character is #1 in the game and he just beats everybody just by virtue of being Johnny Cage, that's bullshit. It's bullshit. Excuse me for a second, y'all. I'll be right back. Oops. My bad, y'all. Yeah, so this narrative that Johnny Cage is #1 and beats people just cause he's Cage is trash. Now, does Cage get victories? Yeah. Is he easy to play? Absolutely. Is he strong? Top tier? Yes and yes. Does he beat everybody? Fuck no. Is he unbeatable? Hell no. Does he provide endless pressure? If you let him. If you fucking let him, yeah, he'll pressure you to death. But if you look at any high-level tournament footage of Johnny Cage, you do not see him pressuring the shit out of everybody for the entirety of the match. No. The tournament players get in and out of Johnny Cage pressure. If they can do it, so can you. You know what I'm saying? And so I am dedicated to debunking misinformation wherever it may reside. I don't give a fuck where it come from. And we need to do the same thing. I hope to empower all of us, all of you watching this video, to do the same thing. If you see motherfuckers on forums spreading that bullshit, tell them stop. You know what I'm saying? Demonstrate to them why they're wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because people need to see that this game is actually really, really dope and that characters are really close to each other competitively. And 9 times out of 10, if you lost to a motherfucker with a character, you didn't lose to the character, you lost to the person. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe you had some shit like this happen to you. Where your controllers start acting a fuck, but it's okay. But point of the matter is, this is not the kind of game where somebody can just pick one character and just beat everybody's ass. That's not how this works. Unless they're just really, really good. Because I promise you, if Ninja Killa picks up Quan Chi and hops into Combat League, he's smoking everybody. And Quan Chi's supposed to be the worst character in the game. But it's not Quan Chi that you're losing to Ninja Killa. And that's the case whether the opponent is using Quan Chi, Johnny Cage, Raiden. It don't fucking matter. Now, do certain characters have better tools than others? Hell yeah, of course they do. Do certain characters rely on cameos more than others? Absolutely, yes. Yes. They have better synergy, all that shit. That's true. But guess what? You can win with anybody. You can pick up any character you want. All us non-tournament, intermediate to higher level intermediate players, we can pick up anybody we want and whoop anybody ass except the high level tourney players. And some of us might even be able to whoop their ass too. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all are really, really good with the characters you play. But you running around thinking you got a low tier, and you really don't. You really don't. You have a character that is solid, or a character that has very clearly defined strengths and weaknesses. That doesn't make your character ass, okay? That just means you gotta play around their weaknesses, okay? That ain't nothing new. That's fighting games. So those of us in the community, we need to shut down bullshit. All right. One other thing we need to start doing. We need to stop running around saying, "Oh, this game is dead. Oh, this game is dying." And even more broadly, we need to stop. We need to understand how to criticize the game objectively. You know what I'm saying? Instead of talking shit about the game, saying negative things about the game that have large swaths of emotion in it, we can objectively state, hey, this particular thing is wrong with the game. The net code is non-ideal right now. It stammers. Even when playing people, two wired opponents can have some jittery internet sometimes, and sometimes the game or the audio desyncs. That's not a criticism. That is an accurate portrayal of some of the problems with the game. But if you sit there and say, yo, MK is trash, MK's a shell of a fighting game, or MK1 is, MK1 is a mess. Even if you say a mess, that's less negative. But all that does is it feeds into the hate narrative. You know what I'm saying? We already got enough people putting out hyperbolic headlines and clickbaity ass YouTube titles about the game being the worst shit ever. We don't need to add to that mix by sitting there using negative adjectives to describe our fucking game. You know what I'm saying? We can point out the things that are wrong with the game, the things that need to be fixed about the game. We can even get emotional about how some of these things bother us. Hell yeah, all that is necessary. But we don't need to join in the fucking slander of the game. We don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. Because then that makes you not much better than a motherfucker like Fate. Or someone like Jaded Rabbit or whomever. All the motherfuckers. There's a bunch of them out there. Them's the only two I know off the top of the dome. All right. One other thing we need to do. These actually, it's two things, and they work in tandem. For one, we need to keep playing the goddamn game. I don't give a fuck. If you can play the game, play the goddamn game. Play against your homies. Make friends online. Play as many sets as you can get. You know what I'm saying? Play the game. Play the goddamn game. No matter what happens, play the game. I think about Super Smash Bros. Melee. That game came out in 2001. Do you know that people still hold tournaments for that game today? In the year 2024? That game is older than some of the people that play MK1. And people still play Melee. You got to have a GameCube. You got to have a CRT television. I hope that the T in CRT doesn't stand for television, but still. No, it's cathode ray tube. Never mind. Yeah, you got to have a CRT television to play that motherfucker. But people play it, though. You know why? Because the people that loved Smash Brothers Melee, they ain't give a fuck when Brawl came out. They still was playing that game. They still played Melee even though Brawl was out. They ain't give a fuck when Smash 4 came out. They was still playing Melee when Smash 4 was out. They don't give a shit that Smash Brothers Ultimate is out now. They still play Melee, even though a lot of them do enjoy Smash Ultimate. They never stopped playing the motherfucking game. And guess what? They even went as far as to fix their own goddamn problems. I told you the game came out in 2001, right? Wasn't no motherfucking internet. There's no online scene for Smash Brothers Melee, but guess what them fools did? People created net play for Smash Brothers Melee through the Dolphin emulator. So there's this emulator called Dolphin. Some of y'all already know what I'm talking about. You know where I'm going with this. Community members created GGPO net play for Smash Brothers Melee. And it runs good. You know what I'm saying? Now, Nintendo was being a $2 hoe and trying to shut that shit down because they don't like emulation, no way. But the fact is, the people that played Melee, they ain't wait for Nintendo to get their act right. And I think that's one mistake I see us somewhat trying to make here. Some of us, I think, are waiting on WB to get their act right. There's a chance that they might never do that. It's a chance that they say, fuck them kids. We got our money, so we don't give a damn. So if WB doesn't support our tournament scene, does that mean we don't have a tournament scene? Does that mean that we all go run into damn Tekken and Street Fighter and shit? No, what it should mean is we create our own. Maybe we don't play for the big bucks. Maybe we play strictly for the hype. And we do that and support our game relentlessly, regardless of what the haters say, regardless of what the corporations say. That's what the Smash Brothers Melee players did. Their example is an example for all of us to follow, as far as I'm concerned. Ooh. So we need to keep playing the game and support the game no matter what NRS and WB decide to do. Modders, I know y'all are out there. Look at this lovely shit that y'all done did with Shao Kahn. If people can do costume mods, they can damn sure do gameplay mods. They can certainly do net play mods and shit. I believe in y'all. I believe in y'all. This game has a very healthy and active modding community, as you can see. Damn near every video I upload has a damn PC mod on it somewhere. And there's some that I haven't even shown off on video yet. But modders, if you're out there, find a way to adjust some of the gameplay elements of this game if you can, please. It ain't easy. I understand this shit takes time, so this shit ain't gonna be some stuff that you're gonna be able to do this year or next year or whatever. But work diligently, crack the codes, please. You know, let's make this game our own. Okay, as much as we possibly can, you know what I'm saying? But probably the biggest thing that all of us players can do is keep learning, yo. Keep learning the game. Be open to new information. The game is 4 months old. We don't know shit. Don't have such absolute opinions about character tiers and, you know, how useful some shit is or not useful some shit is. We need to be open to everything. God damn, that was a good ass duck. You know what I'm saying? Be open to everything. Because there's so much that is subject to change just cause. Did I get him? Nope. That would have been a good one, but I ain't know how to do nothing. I mean, I think about early in the game how we were all convinced that Geras, Smoke, Lee May, and Sindel were all like rubbish characters. Now we know better. I think about how people initially and still think that Kitana is somehow lacking or missing something. Tell that to I think the player's name is Retro Ho. I can't recall. When that motherfucker plays Katana and puts her with any motherfucking cameo, particularly Jax, he be cooking motherfuckers with Katana. That character has high damage, good mids, unblockable setup in the corner that loops, 50% damage combos in the corner, low 40s, mid-screen meterless shit with multiple cameos, strong movement, strong projectiles. The only thing Katana don't have is a mix. Thank God she don't, because if she did, she'd be stupid. But still, we need to learn how characters behave and be open to new possibilities. Be open to the potential idea that maybe our thoughts about a character or some gameplay element, maybe these thoughts are not permanent. Maybe they're not 100% correct. Maybe there's elements of truth to them, but maybe we're not all the way there yet because the game is new, bruh. The game is new, and there's so much depth to this game. There's so much still yet to be discovered. Chameleon just came out. That girl crazy. We don't know who she just buffed on the tier list, but I can guarantee you some character placements have just changed because she exists now. You know what I'm saying? We need to be cognizant of that. Every new cameo that comes out brings new possibilities. And even the old cameos can be reworked in such a way to where, oh, people weren't doing such and such technique before, and now they are. And this previously low tier character is no longer low tier. You know what I'm saying? But we need to be open to that information. We need to keep playing. We need to keep learning, keep grinding, keep growing. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way to be. And while we're at it, we need to stop with the last game better loot. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to shut that shit down too. Because I'm looking at this MK1 Shao Kahn. You know what I'm saying? And I remember how divisive MK1 was and how it felt like it was universally loathed by the community. You know what I'm saying? And now that MK1 is out, I hear so many people singing the praises of that goddamn game. And I'm like, bruh, if y'all don't get the fuck out of here with that shit, that is bananas. Be objective. Be objective, bruh. Oh, if there's some things that you dislike about a game, dislike them today, tomorrow, and forever. If there's some things you like about a game, like them now, tomorrow, and forever. You dig what I'm saying? And let's try to like MK1 and love on it today, now, and forever. You dig what I'm saying? So with that being said, you guys, I appreciate y'all watching and listening. I'll catch y'all later with more content. Peace.